Let's see. Hello. Oh my God, look who it is. Hello, Cheryl. How are you, dear?
I'm doing great. It's
We,
great to be here and to chat with you. I actually have been seeing a lot of your posts recently popping up on Fight Club too. So they've
oh,
been
how
alerting on my page. So that's kind of good. Looks like you're really active now
yeah,
too.
we're rebranding Fight Club right now. And then I was telling Drew earlier today. Well, first of all, let me introduce you, Cheryl. Cheryl Campbell is here. We're actually coming on earlier today than 7 o'clock. So we're here at 4 o'clock. So hopefully everybody, some people will get on and see you now. And if not, they'll be able to watch the replay. I've been following you. I saw you made a post about a bingo. And it made me think about, I'm like, oh my God, what's Cheryl been up to? Because you were a member of Fight Club and you went through our MMA and life gets in the way and everybody just kind of went about life. And a post came up about your bingo that you were having. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like,
I
oh
know,
my
and then I saw you got a ticket for
I got a
it.
ticket for the bingo, and I was like, you know what? I need to reach out to Cheryl and find out what she's been up to all these years. And you've always had yourself involved in a lot of things. Your big thing that's going on is your nonprofit, the Christmas Gala, which is amazing. And I participated in that with you, and you just keep going and going and getting bigger and bigger. I've always been impressed by what you've done, Cheryl, and
Oh,
kudos
thank
to you
you.
because the seniors in our town are much happier because of your pure existence and what you do for them. And so uh,
It's amazing.
it's amazing. So I wanted to tell, I was talking to Drew earlier today and I said, she's got such an amazing story. Like, I don't even know where to even start with you, where to jump in or to even to begin, because you got a lot going on. You're such a good person. Like, you do so much for so many different people in so many different areas of life, and even including in your personal life, that it's just like it's amazing that you keep going and doing what you're doing under the circumstances that you're dealing with. So
It, it
I
amazes
want
me
you,
some
Cheryl, to
days.
start wherever you want to start with your life story, because it's quite incredible what you've been doing all these years. So
Well,
I'll take it away.
the good part is it's actually being written. And so it is basically, I have a book that I have started writing, which we started talking about that long ago.
Yeah.
It just actually needs to be put in order now. So that's kind of super cool. But my life is strange. Um, I never thought 15 years ago is how old this year. The gala is 15, and we call it the Christmas Gala, the gift of giving all year round. We added the tagline a few years ago when people couldn't understand what we were about because of the name. Quick, the name is a mistake. Somehow it became the Christmas Gala because that was the very first event we ever did. And so the people who were helping me fill out paperwork called it the Christmas Gala. We can't change it. It's impossible. We tried year 5 and we almost went out of business. People like it. They know us
Yeah.
as the gala now. They just know what we do. And we're pretty popular in Bucks County and surrounding areas. Never in a million years did I ever think that I would do a nonprofit, that I would run a nonprofit, and that I would donate my time. And I was not one of those people that volunteered 15 years ago. I just was not that person that went to the Salvation Army. Don't get me wrong. Was I helping people all the time? Somebody's kid was always living here. Somebody's parent was always sick. I was always doing something. But this just happened to fall in my lap because my grandmother had passed 15 years ago. And my grandmother had passed 15 years ago. And with that, um, I had, was just surviving life. And so then I ended up doing, every year I did a family Christmas a friend Christmas party, and I went shopping for it. And at this grocery store, I discovered a woman who had been shopping at 9 o'clock at night, and she was in her 90s. And she said to the cashier, "Can you call me my cabbie now?" And I was like, it's 9 o'clock at night. She's going to call a cabbie. So I ended up offering to take her home. Now, mind you, I think about this later. She could have been a mass murderer. Even 90-year-olds can kill you in a car, but I loaded all of her stuff into my car along with mine, with the stuff for my party. And I drove her home, and the 10 or 12-minute drive, she cried the entire time.
Wow. I remember you telling this story, and I'm like, wow.
And I just thought I did something wrong. But everything she said was all the things my grandmother used to say. And my grandmother was not the nicest woman towards the end. And so she didn't have a lot of people around her. And so she was alone because she was in her 90s and she had outlived her children, grandchildren. And so I remember hearing my grandmother say a lot of what this woman was saying. And I was like, this is just like deja vu. So I help her unload her stuff into her home. I pull up into her driveway, and then she gets bawling again. Apparently, the cabbie would have unloaded all of her supplies at the bottom of the hill of her house, and she would have had to carry it all up.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow. So then I carried everything in the house. Her house was a disarray. There was birds flying around. It was a mess. She had big bags of bird feed that she was feeding her birds. And at my Christmas party, I had said to everybody, I said, we should do something for this woman. So I had already taken like cookies around to her, and she didn't answer. And then I'd gone back a couple of times and checked on her. And I don't know what happened, but I never actually had another interaction with her. But we had already started on the process of doing some type of fundraiser to see what we could do. And lo and behold, we had our very first fundraiser back in 2009, probably.
Wow.
It was 2008 we actually started, but I think the first one was 2009. And we raised $1,750. Who knew? And nobody would take my money. So during that time period, though, we did work with an organization, and we took all their requests off their tree for their seniors. And I had taken 10. Then I went back, and by the time we had done 67 at our first event called the Christmas Gala. People had purchased it. The tags went very quick. I couldn't find them quick enough. And lo and behold, we were born. And so we were basically this for the first 5 years, basically the little bit of money I raised, we would find organizations to trust us. And as we grew, year 5, I tried to change the name. We almost went out of business. We fixed all that, and we have done nothing but keep going. And from 1 program to 4, from 67 to over 1,000 angel gifts in 1 season, to all the other programs we do. Yeah, it's just strange.
You exploded. And then you had are you still in Bristol, in your office in Bristol there?
Yep, we have an office in Bristol. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We need a new one. Because
any donators out there have an office?
We need a flat area, because we go down steps and up steps with all these gifts, because every gift for the angel program has to be checked. People don't realize you have to make sure that there are appropriate things going in the bags. You'd be surprised. Some people, they're very nice. People are kind. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes they put things that aren't appropriate or very used, and we don't give used for this program. You want. So let me explain the angel program.
I was just going to say, could you explain how it from beginning to end?
Yeah, the angel program really, I mean, it didn't have so many rules when I first started, but we had to. But the angel program is really this way where you help someone who is low income, by themselves. They don't really have very much family. We adopted during COVID. COVID really changed us a whole bunch. During COVID, we added mental health organizations so that we could help them, because a lot of them have seniors, majority are elderly, 60 and above, and they might be under 60 some, but we can't get for some and not for the others. So the whole organization gets adopted, the programs we take in. But, when you think about a Christmas present, I might get a piece of jewelry, or I might get a trip to go somewhere. That's not what they're getting. They're not getting what you and I wish to get, because we go out and buy our own new bedding and our sheets and our towels and any of those things we go purchase on our own. For our elderly that we purchase for it, even the mental health group, we're giving them the basics. So they get an application, which we didn't have a long time ago, but we have applications now. And they get to pick and choose a variety of different things that help us to, the community pick what they're going to do. So they send in an application. We then make a tag, just like you see for kids on a tree. And we put options on there, and people pick them, and then they fill it, and then they drop it off at one of the locations. And then we go through it, making sure that it's appropriate, making it look pretty. If it doesn't have enough in it, we always add to it. We always add to it. And then we And I always want to say to the community, you can buy one thing and that's enough. So we do not expect everybody out there to take a tag and fill everything on it. I write for grants. I work with organizations. So we are always supplying our shelves with extras so that when it comes short on a gift, and we say short, when we go to an organization, we want to make sure that if there's 2 bags for everybody, we want to make sure everybody gets 2 bags. So we just make sure it looks great. Doesn't mean the value is going to be the same in every bag because everybody asks for different things.
Right.
And so then we add to it. So the community can get one thing and get 10 things. We don't care. We will make sure that it gets out there appropriately. But let me tell you, the things that they ask for sometimes are just hard. It just breaks your heart, depends. Dental supplies, denture supplies is huge. They don't get, yeah. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
It's like $8, $9 for
basic,
two.
Basic supplies is what they're really in need of. That everyday items we take for granted is what our elderly really need.
Yep. And we ask them to tell us what they really wish for. And if it's possible, we try and give them something that's not just every day. And then we do other things. We work with schools who make us Christmas cards. And let me tell you, the seniors, the people who get them, they love getting homemade cards. Love it. Like they send me thank you notes just for the homemade cards. We do homemade crafts. Kids make crafts for us. We have a woman who makes us snowmen, and I should have brought you a snowman out of toilet paper. So everybody for the last 2 years gets a toilet paper that looks like a snowman in their bag. So we just put fun in there. So it's about making them feel like they're loved, understood, that they know that somebody's there. You can have $1 million, but if you were by yourself on Christmas, you can get a gift from us for that program. No, not all of them, for that program. We don't have a lot of those, but we want to make sure. And our oldest one to receive something is 101.
Now, where do you find your seniors? Like, how do you get your list? Where do you go to generate the list?
Back in the day, it was so hard. Nobody liked us. They didn't trust us. Like, they didn't know who we were. And so nobody wanted to work with us. Like, who are they? What are they? So over 15 years, I've built a relationship with over 40 organizations. Any organization you can think of that services people, like Family Service, Area on Aging, Lenape Valley, most of the senior centers, might be 1 or 2, senior centers, referrals from people who already received gifts from us. And they'll say, my friend lives in this, a lot of times there's low-income housing areas. And they don't really know about us, and it's hard to get to them. But if their friends refer them, then we'll try and get them a gift too. And those will be private referrals. But we'll get somebody who says, my neighbor has nobody. Can we, put in for them? So we get it that way now since we've been doing this. But I mean, last year we did 915, which is about 1,100 actual gifts, 915 people, at a value of about $48,000 estimated value for that little bit of I say little bit because we did a year where we did over 1,000 people, but COVID changed things and we're slowly growing back up to the numbers we used to do. But we also don't want to go too fast because this is very important for people to know, is that the Christmas Gala, we have a mission for each program. And if we sway from the mission for the program, then we might as well not do it. So if we can't keep the gift individualized, then we shouldn't increase our numbers. And so during COVID, it became hard to reach people. And then when we started coming back, we had already started another program called Surprise a Senior. That's a whole different world. And so we had to transition from Surprise a Senior over back to Angel because of COVID. And so 2 years we did both programs. I wanted to shoot my brains out. It was crazy. So last year we just did the Angel, converted over to just Angel, and then we do Surprise the Senior from January until August, which is another whole separate thing. But with that Angel program, we depend on the community. I would say 80% of what we do is community-based donations, community-based. I can put up tags on the Facebook, and within a half hour, I can get rid of them. It's amazing. My followers for the Christmas Gala have been purely amazing. There are families that get together and they will do this as their Christmas presents to each other. And then if they have money left over, they go back out and they go get more. We have businesses that will take 30, 40, 50, 60 tags and their employees do
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah, that's our key. If we can find more businesses that will take tags for just their employees, where we don't have to depend on the community coming to get it.
You just made me think of something. Drew's involved in the Chamber of Commerce.
Which one?
Drew, you're out there.
Later. We can talk later.
He's out there somewhere. But Drew,
So
but it made me think about what you just said. Like, are you a part of the Chamber of Commerce, and do they help?
So So I am actually part of the Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I'm actually. So you're gonna like this one. I'm actually a board member too on there.
Oh well.
So, I know.
So you and Drew need to talk, because he's a board member in writing. Yeah. So
okay.
So the network just got bigger here. Just having this conversation, my wheels are spinning right now.
Just amazing. You know, when the businesses discover us, they go, "Oh, it's that easy." Like, they don't really, when they think about it without talking, they get nervous because they think we can't do that. Anyway, so that's the one program. And I'm going to tell you, up until before COVID, I was going to give it up. I honestly couldn't do it. We had our last big gala, and I had announced to everybody I was stepping down from running the gala. And that was right before COVID hit. And so everybody was like floored, because the gala, the party, and we were going to downsize, because I can't do it all, because we have no paid employees. It's all volunteer based.
That was my next question. How do you generate your volunteers, or do you have a certain amount of people that are your regulars that have been with you forever, and then you're constantly bringing in new people, whoever?
Yep. So, you said it all. So we have some regulars that are fabulous. And so we have what's called a working board. And so my board members actually also oversee programs. And so that's fabulous. But we need the ambassador board, where they get out there and they help raise the money. That's next on my list, my future goals. Finding the money to hire an executive director, because I wear executive director, founder, and president right now. Eventually, in order for me to step back, I need to do those things. But I really wanted to give it up. If it wasn't for my team that I have right now, we wouldn't be going and strong like we are, and having new programs, for God's sake.
Yeah, well, you built such an amazing organization. It's kind of hard to collapse that. and then knowing the good that you're doing out there, you and I used to have talks, and I remember part of being a nonprofit, like drawing a salary. Like, people don't realize it. You can have a nonprofit and it still can be for profit. And you would be like, I don't want to take any. I couldn't. I said, Cheryl, you got it. It's okay.
You're right.
You survive if you can't. You got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of other people. But I remember you were always so very like, oh no. I'm like, no, Cheryl, you got to pay yourself.
I didn't want to grow it, so I didn't want it to be this big. Like, I never thought that it would be four programs in now, and I never thought that there would be so many people depending on it. And so, like, that never dawned on me that we did all this and people would still want and need it. So I never prepared the nonprofit to be able to fly on its own. So much is in my head, not no more. For the past 18 months, we've been doing it so that people can take it over, and I've been training people. But prior to that, I never, like, it's a lot. It's a lot when your money is low and you can't fill something, or you have to tell one of your team members, we call them team members, when you tell one of your team members, no, we're not purchasing right now because the budget is low. Even though I got money in the account, people don't understand. I have the money, but the money has to last us this many months for the overhead. So I know it in my head. It is now on paper more, but I didn't anticipate that before COVID. And when COVID hit, we were one of the few people going inside buildings, triple masks. My volunteers were crazy. they wanted to still make sure people got stuff. They made me cry all the time because, and I'm not a
our
crier.
seniors were they were the ones that were getting hit at first the worst. So I can imagine what you were going through. Like, oh my God, these poor people were really.
They weren't in need of the actual items. They were in need of the actual surprise, which is how Surprise the Senior came. Because of freaking COVID, we couldn't get our angel stuff out to people. We couldn't because people weren't working. And for me, it was like people just kept donating stuff to us, even though everybody was closed. We just kept getting stuff donated. So I had to find a building. We found a building and we just started packaging bags after bags after bags. And then we worked with organizations who allowed us to go through doors, triple masked. They put notes up saying you must stay in your apartment. You must stay in your rooms, literally. Our people would have to drop it. And if somebody came out the door, my volunteers ran to the elevator going, please don't come near me, because they weren't allowed during COVID. Right. And this went on for a year and a half of us delivering triple masks. And now we do it, still, but we don't have to run. Now they get to stop and talk to the seniors and they love this program. And all that's in a bag is like toilet paper, paper towels, and then we do fun things. And it's really just, there's no qualification other than.
It really is. It's just a thought that counts. Like they look forward to human contact. People, a lot of them don't have family members and this and that. So you truly are like an angel to these people showing up at their door with these surprises. So where are you at now? Like, do you go event to event? Do you do fundraisers constantly? Like, I know you got this upcoming bingo. If you want to talk about that, is there tickets still available or?
So we have maybe about 30 tickets left. I always love our bingos do well. We have a really cool, so anything about us, anybody who ever follows us will tell you, Cheryl Campbell's events never are ran like anybody else's. We always do something different. So our bingo is ran a little different. And so people like to come to it. We have about 30 tickets. If we sell them out, we might open it up. So we have a hall where it can hold 400 people, but I'm not big on crushing people into it. So we'll do the max at 250 people. So that there's space to move around, even though I could make more, but it really is about the comfort of our people who are supporting us, safety, because if I do have seniors coming, I really don't want it that cramped because I know COVID is calmer, but people can still get sick. Yeah. So we do like the space. We do have tickets of $35. It is in Fairless Hills. It's super cool. We have adventures. We have gift cards. We have pool baskets. We have one of our things is live casinos giving us a night down there. It's a $409 value with $100 worth of food.
Oh, wow.
As a prize. Right. So we have some pretty cool prizes to win. And if there's 3 winners, everybody gets a prize with us. So it's all about the gift of giving. So it has to follow through in everything we do. So when we first started, I said, our name, everything is consistent. So is our programs. Everything is consistent. Programs and our events. So when we run a fundraiser, you had a good question. Do we fundraise all the time? When I first started, I did so much fundraising. I wanted to hide. It was, so we only do maybe 2 a year now. We are bringing back our big event December 1st, which is a big gala. It is $75 a ticket though, but it is open bar, but you get to see Cheryl do some really crazy things, and we won't tell you what, but there are some outfit changes, apparently. The founder likes to change outfits a couple of times sometimes, so you have to switch outfit.
You really did come out of your comfort zone, girl. I love it.
So it's really cool. Dancing, food, and that's where we look for sponsors. So businesses that want to sponsor, we look for big sponsors so that, it'll help cover the cost of it and still make a nice amount of money. The bingo will still make out okay. We don't really go crazy looking for sponsors. Again, the Christmas Gala is not real big about nagging the community constantly. So we usually try to do just one big event. And this one here, we asked people, but we don't really go after them. For the gala, I'll be going after people.
I know you.
I want that big money. Right. But so we only do 2 fundraisers. I write grants. Anybody who's a grant writer who wants to help me take over that job, I would love grant writers to come join. Grants are, basically.
You were really big with, like I said to you years ago, like I was also telling this to Drew. I said, you really know how to navigate through the nonprofit world. You even helped us when we developed our nonprofit. Didn't do anything with it, but And that's what I said to you. I said, you really understand the whole navigating and how to start a nonprofit and what it takes, the steps to do it. And are you still involved in doing that? You're doing
So
the
that's my
grant writing,
side business.
obviously.
That's my side business. That's what I do under Empowered. I help small businesses, small nonprofits, and teach them how to do the right things. Well, here's the thing, even though I'm a nonprofit, I'm a business. And that's what I think your community needs to know. It sounds like, oh, she's a nonprofit. But one of the big things with nonprofit world, we are still a business, and we have to follow more rules than anybody ever would realize. I mean, we have to file 990s and 990 easies, and we have to get licenses and all those things. Well, when I started this, I was a nobody. Mind you, I never volunteered, so I didn't know anything. I cannot tell you the number of times I would learn what I screwed up on.
You were running like a speakeasy of a nonprofit. So and you realize that you got to follow all these rules and the regulations. Yeah, it's tough.
I was like, damn, I'm supposed to get a license for a bingo? You have to get licenses. All these people that run bingos, if you don't have your license, you got to get a license to do a bingo. Yeah. You have to have a license to do raffles. You have to get registered with the state of New Jersey if you get New Jersey money. You have to register with Pennsylvania.
Everything.
I was like, every time I turned around, I was like,
you have alcohol there, God forbid. That's a whole other animal.
So we definitely make sure wherever we go, if there's alcohol, they have their license, and then we make sure we double, it's all insurance based. So we make sure our insurance is covered. They have their insurance. So we're pretty blessed that way, because you have to just make sure you have your insurances up to date. Again, you have to make sure you have the right insurance. You have to make sure you have board of directors insurance, because you want to cover your board members so nobody can sue them. It's just like crazy.
Yeah, but it's a business. Realize it's not an easy gig, developing a nonprofit and then taking it to the extreme that you have done, and then have your hands in like 10 different pots. Like you wear so many hats, Cheryl. I get dizzy trying to keep up with what.
That's what they all say.
And now you're a life coach too. So I want to talk about that. I mean, you went into life coach, and then when I saw that transpired, I'm like, yes.
That's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So I cannot tell you.
So for all these years, naturally, and people used to say that to me, like, oh, you're like a life coach. I'm like, yeah, but it's a lot to life coach anybody, let alone yourself. It's like.
It's crazy. So when I did it, I became certified. So when I did it during COVID, and it was a good time because, people say COVID was horrible for them, but it really made me
sit down.
Yeah. I meditate now. I do a lot of things like you would never imagine Cheryl Campbell doing.
You need to reintroduce yourself, Cheryl. This is like, because I haven't seen you in a few years, and just sitting here right now, you're a totally different person. Even how you're presenting, like everything about you right now, and even how you're speaking is just
it's so funny.
Free flowing now. It's there's a
I let go.
I'm feeling from you right now. I'm feeling a real sense of peace, and you're.
I let go. So that's the biggest thing. Back when you and I first met, it was I have a bad background. I have my history is I came from, my parents were not the best. I love them, and they're both gone. But there were a lot of hiccups in my life growing up. There was some abuse. There was some neglect. There was some sexual abuse. There was not by my parents, but in my lifetime. And, I carried a lot of anger, and I don't have a great relationship with all my siblings. And, I just was angry all the time and didn't even know I was angry all the time. And apparently I was, and I always thought I dealt with it. And I write. I'm a big writer. I've been.
Are you a hugger now? Can we hug?
I do hug. I do hug. Okay. I'm not a big hugger still. Oh my God, you guys who are watching, Roseanne is a hugger. And when I first met her, everybody wanted to hug me. And I'm like, no, I don't hug, I'm not a hugger. I mean, my in-laws would have a hard time with that when we started. They were like, everybody hugs and kisses. No, we don't. And then COVID came and everybody wants to hug and kiss. And I'm like, no.
Now you're really like back off.
Right. But I am better at it. So I don't cringe anymore when we do the hugging thing. I'm not a big hugger still, but I don't cringe. But it's so much nicer, what
You
life
seem more
coaching.
relaxed. You seem more
I am.
at peace. You seem more jovial, more, yes. I am picking picking up all that right now. And it's
I had to let it go.
and
I
yeah,
had to accept what I couldn't change, which even though there's mottos for this all over the place, guys, I know
yeah,
there is,
yeah,
but I didn't read them apparently. But I can't change where I came from. I can only change where I'm going.
yeah.
And what I was doing while I was here, I was always trying. I mean, I was a control freak. People will say I still am. I really am not. But I was a
Might
control
be a
freak.
little, yeah.
Mhm.
But I can,
No,
like I said,
really.
I can see like now you just like a control freak. Yeah, that probably might. But you wore many hats. I'm the same way.
Right.
When you're used to doing everything methodically yourself, it's hard to let go of that power a little bit. Like when you let delegating to other people and let other people do it. That was what the downfall was with Fight Club. Like if the big mission was to help everybody, and everything that you're saying right now is what the mission was. And I just couldn't do it all. I just couldn't.
Right.
Everybody was looking to me to be their guru and rescue and save. And then I realized, like, whoa, wait, I can't
Right.
do this. I can't rescue and save anybody. My
Yep.
intentions were to do that, but I realized I couldn't, and I had to take a time out. I had to put myself in time out.
I know the feeling.
Yeah,
You help. I mean, through the years, I helped
training.
families.
Yeah.
I raised other people, my sister's kids for years, and my ex-husband to be, all that stuff. We took care of everybody's family. I took care of everybody's kids, took care of everybody's sisters, brothers. We didn't take care of us.
No,
I didn't take care of me.
no.
And, I always felt I was okay with who I was. I was overweight, and, I really was okay with my weight for a long time. And I didn't look in the mirror and look at myself as being fat or overweight at that time period, because I thought I was good with myself. And I do believe I really was okay with myself, but I didn't realize my inner self wasn't okay with me. Like I was okay with what I looked like, but apparently my mind wasn't okay with who I was.
No.
And, and so, my daughter became sick 6.5 years ago, actually, right when we first started ending Fight Club. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's very public. She has a page, so it's nothing that I'm announcing that she hasn't already said. And, you thought we were going to do the breast cancer thing and we were going to move on. Well, no, she's metastatic. Things were missed. It grew, went to her chest wall, went to her brain. And when you think when you're going to lose a child, you lose your mind a little bit, and I know people, right. And so you think your daughter's going to die, and then she doesn't, and then she's going to die, and then she doesn't. And she has metastatic, so she will someday. But we live each day now. And we had to learn that during COVID. We had to learn that we can't keep going tomorrow, what's going to happen. We had to learn to live for today. So that's what we do now. So now we just live for the day that we have, which is so much easier to do than trying to guess what's going to happen tomorrow. And once I figured out how to do that, and you ready for this one? Anybody watching? I learned how to say no.
How about that? Boundaries.
Yep. I learned that I don't need to do it.
I don't know if that comes with age or whatever, because I became the master of saying no now. It's become very easy. You were a lot like me in the sense that a lot of people heck at you, and it becomes very draining. And I'm assuming that's what led you into life coaching, because naturally. Yes. So I see that you've got to be an amazing life coach because you're an amazing person, but being able to navigate what you've done, dealing with everybody, you learn a lot of things along the way.
I won't lie to you. I did counseling. Yeah. So I became severely depressed right before COVID. And it wasn't even COVID yet. It was when my daughter had already had cancer. I had gone to I was crying. I'm not a crier. So I was crying all the time. And I didn't know what was going on. And it was during the time period where my daughter was first diagnosed with her cancer. And then there was that year where we thought she was cured. And that's when I had my depression. So it was 5.5 years ago. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. Because I'm not a depressed person. I don't normally get depression. Over the years, I've tried medications and they never did anything. And the counselors and all say it's because yours isn't chemical imbalanced. Yours was caused by environment. And the same thing happened again. Mine was environment. So there's differences in depression. I don't know if people know that. But so there's the chemical imbalance where, I know people who are chemically, they have been depressed and it has nothing to do with their environment, but environment doesn't help. But they're born that way. And then there's those that your chemicals are fine, but your environment pushed you to the limit. And my environment pushed me to my limit. And I thought I was fine. Apparently I wasn't. And I went to my family doctor and she was like, I've never seen you this way. Like I made my doctor cry. She was like, I've never seen you this way. And so I got my shit together. Got my crap together.
Oh, no, believe you know me. I'm F-bomb dropper here. So
dove into therapy and we dug into some crap that I didn't think I was ever going to dive into. And we did. And then I told her about my idea about doing the life coaching. And she was like, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
And then I did both at the same time for a while. And then as I got more and more stable, she goes, do you really want to keep seeing me? And I was like,
she can start seeing you now.
Like I did. She goes, I don't think you really need me anymore. So and then I went off and went wholeheartedly into all the classes and the stuff for the.
How long you been doing that now?
So it's been 3 years now. And and I limit how many clients I take. I only take about 8 at a time because I give my all. So anything that I do, I always tell everybody, if I'm going to do it, we're going to do it all. And so we do about 8. And the type of clients that I've had so far have been, women transitioning from in their 60s to their 70s. I've had a few of those. Women that, people who are starting a business. I've had partners who were women and they weren't sure if they wanted to stay partners. And I said, well, I think you need to work on the emotional part because I'm not a business coach, but yet both of their businesses are flourishing right now. So I always say, if you take care of your inner self, everything else will flow.
Follows. Yep. Clear your mind. And I think I put a little thing up there this morning about, clear your mind and the rest will follow.
Yep.
And it's amazing when you, like you started out saying, when you let it go and realize or learn how to delegate or learn how to not be angry or pissed off at the world or whatever it brings you, letting it go is probably the best. That's the best line.
So there's another one. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Learn to listen
Oh, yeah.
and don't respond with your own thoughts. Coaching taught me a whole lot in this area is people will come to me for advice, and we would give advice where who the hell are we to give advice? Basically, back then, like what am I doing? I don't have to give advice anymore. I ask the questions.
Yep.
And so if I ask the right questions, they find the answers.
That's right.
So it's just knowing the right questions.
Best questions. That's a great book, by the way.
Yep.
Leaders ask the best questions and understanding that. Yeah. Learning to listen. That was a learning to listen without responding.
And not responding.
That's how most of us. We already know the answer, what we're going to say to somebody, and then literally just letting them say what they got to say. And either responding or not responding, whatever it takes you. But
well, that's sort of what happened with the Christmas Gala too. So when I started it, I never ran anything, and so I was a terrible leader. I sucked. I didn't know what I was doing. And as time went on, I think my team will say, I think I'm better. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to make sure that my team is okay, that my volunteers are heard, and that I know what they do, not just who they are, their name, but how's your granddaughter today? I didn't do that in the beginning, but I didn't know either. Like, what did I know? I know now. And so I make it my job to make sure I know who my team is, and I make sure my leads know who my team are, so that we can make sure if somebody's missing for a couple of weeks, we might want to check and see if everything's okay. Not that we want them. I always start off, I'm not looking for you to come volunteer. I just haven't heard from you. Is everything okay? And then I'll find out somebody had something happen. and they never shared it with us because I'm not their friend. They just volunteer with us. But at least they know
a difference. That changes everything.
Yeah. So there's just so many things that I've learned. And so the other thing is I told my granddaughter, you guys ready for this? I still learn every day.
Mm-hmm.
Before I thought I didn't need to learn anything else, but I'm always learning. There's always something new that I learn. And even from her, even from my granddaughter and the big one, I actually say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. I didn't understand it. I wasn't sure what it was. I say that more now because I don't, Before I was like, I know that shit, And sometimes I really do already know it, but I don't say it out loud anymore. And I'll just say, can you tell me how you see it from your point of view? Because I'm not understanding.
That's a good one. I like that line, because my husband says, you're not one for saying I'm sorry. I'm like, well, because I'm usually not wrong. So that requires you got to be wrong to say I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, come on, Roseanne. So yes, I've learned how to say, and I'll make an announcement before I do it, so everybody knows. I'm like, all right, just so everybody's listening, you're probably not going to hear this for a long time, but I am actually sorry, and for whatever. And they all laugh at me like, all right, Mom.
But now you just have to say, when I hear from somebody's point of view, a different perspective, and my youngest daughter, she's a whippersnapper. I've learned a few things from her sometimes, and she'll say, Mom, but this is how Dad's seen it. And I like, oh. And I was like, shit, maybe I should have asked. So now when I hear it, so she made me realize, or she'll tell me her perspective on it.
Yeah.
Or if there's something that's happened in a group of like 3 or 4 of us, I'll say, can you tell me what you see? And I don't want to get in the middle this time. So I'm not asking anyone to get in the middle. I want to hear the different perspectives on it because I see it this way. Right. So have you ever told a story about what happened to one of your kids when they were little? Or have you ever heard your kids tell you a story about something that you have no clue what the hell they're talking about because that's not what you remember?
Oh, yeah, all the time, like probably once a week, because I have family dinners here, and they'll throw out something, and I'm like, what? That didn't happen like that, or what?
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, they like to do this, like the shock me. I call it the shock mom statements.
Me too.
Yeah, and then they'll blast out things that when that apparently happened when they were like 4 or 5, and I'm like, well, yeah, that didn't go like that. That I know that from the mind of a child, you might have seen it that way, but that's not really what the situation. But that's
what made me realize. That's some of the things that made me realize that happens with us even as adults.
Yes,
what we see doesn't necessarily. I have one up on some of my kids though, so I've been journaling since they were little. So sometimes a story will come up and I wrote about it in their journal. So I go back and I read my stories that I wrote or something I wrote. And sometimes what I wrote isn't what I remember either. Isn't that fun?
Well, it's funny. I you know what I do? I use Facebook. Everybody's like, why what do you use Facebook for? And I said, believe it or not, I use Facebook a lot for the memories, because I'll write things. And what I'll do is I go back and when it comes back up in my memories, I screenshot what I wrote with the pictures. I print it out, and I am actually using it like a journal. It's stamped, it's dated, it's timed, and I'll do that. And I put it in a book for my grandchildren. Like, so all the memories, and everybody knows I take a million pictures, but I always write something to it. So my grandchildren.
You're a cheater.
Oh yeah, I'm a cheater, all right. And so it's funny because now I'm doing it for my grandchildren actually. So it's cool to. Every day I send something back we have a family group message, and I'll be like, all right, 5 years ago today, Ben did this, or Sienna said that, and it's my way of journaling, easy. And I just print it out and put it in an album. Oh,
that is so funny.
Yeah, that's it. It's but like you said, it's funny with the kids when they say things and your perspective, and again, a lot has to do with our age, like, we're different age brackets now, and how I was as a mother at, 19 years old, and how I viewed things as a 19-year-old being a mother, and how I am as a 56-year-old mother and grandmother now, totally two different things. I can look back on things and say, that was the age that I was. That was the mindset that I was. you can't blame me for things that I did when I was 19, when I was a 19-year-old.
Well, I mean, often things come up and I'll say, listen, I'm sorry if it came across differently when you were that age, but I did the best I knew how.
Yes.
And that's all we expect you to do now as parents and as they're doing it.
Yeah.
Because even as a grandparent, I'm doing the best I know how to be a grandparent. I don't always do that right either, apparently.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Right. So I'm just doing the best I know how. I didn't have grandparents
Yeah.
doting over me. I didn't have somewhere to run to go
Right.
for the weekend. So I don't have examples of what a good grandparent should have been.
Right.
So I'm doing what I know how to do.
Then, yeah, I think you're doing a damn good job. By the way, on
Thank
top
you.
of saving the rest of the world too. Yeah,
Well, I'm trying not to save the rest of the world all the time.
Yeah.
My goal is to figure out how to make the Christmas Gala stand on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Once we have everything set up, which we're on a good roll right now, once we have everything set up, then I have to figure out how to find the funding to find the way to pay either myself or someone. So you are right. I should be paid. I agree.
Absolutely.
I should be paid. I put a lot of hours into it.
Yes. And it's
unfortunately, you can't hire somebody if you don't have consistent money coming in. And because I never planned on it being the way it is, I had to learn and ask for help. How do I make it? So that's what we're doing. I have been learning, how do I make it more stable so that when I step back from things. And so right now, like some of my programs, I can step away and some of my team can run it without me. Nice. They always say they can't, but they might not know the like who to reach out to and stuff yet, but that'll all come. But those programs can go on without me, the two of them so far. And so we'll be able to figure that out. But that's time. My goal is to step back and just go do my coaching 100%.
I was just going to say, now you're taking care of you, which is, hey, for all the good that you've done out there, it's your turn now. It's your turn.
I love doing speaking engagements, so that's always fun. I go and I do trainings and speaking engagements.
You are definitely in your element speaking. Like you're an excellent speaker, public speaker. So yes, that's.
Well, maybe the next you can do it too. We can work together on something because that's a pretty big event that I do, and it's so much fun. People love it. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how can people get your bingo tickets now if they want these extra two? Where do they go to or?
They can just message me on Facebook, the Christmas Gala, or Cheryl Campbell, or you can just literally Venmo, and there's a Venmo Christmas Gala. You can call me, 267-549-7602. That's the Gala number, so you're not like calling me and bothering me. That's what it's there for. I have two phones. Yes, I do. I carry two phones with me. I know. Can you imagine? See?
Look at this.
And I turn one off, so I don't. I used to not, but I turn one off. They can go to the Facebook page, which is the Christmas Gala. There's all different ways, basically just message here and I'll check wherever this is and say they're interested, then I will get a hold of them. If they're interested in learning more, we love to have people visit us in Bristol. We do lots of walkthroughs. People come and have lunch with us and just chat and they get to see what we're doing. We do Zooms, if somebody wants to do a Zoom and we can show you the office and what we do. And just call me, if there's anything they think
volunteers, you're always looking for donations, which is a big help.
Volunteers, donations. The bingo we're collecting. So if you are anybody attending the bingo, they are more than welcome to bring items with them and then they get a free game card. So we'll do a free game card in exchange for dropping off toilet paper, paper towels, tissue, anything food stamps don't pay for. So if you're trying to figure that out, it's non-perishables and, your toiletries and things like that. I don't care what you bring us. One of those
things like that.
Yep. Anything, because we make bags with it. So it doesn't matter. Anything you can bring that you think somebody of 60 and above would enjoy, do it. And then you get a free game card there. And we'll probably do something similar for the gala to bring something. We'll give a giveaway. But
Right. Well, we're going to have to definitely get together so we can reintroduce both of ourselves.
Completely different. Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I started reading some of your stuff about what you were doing and that you're trying to revamp it. So it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard to redo.
But I've been taking care of the seeds, I like to say, over the last 8 years. So the women, are still close to 6,000 women in this organization. And that was always been the mission, to help women help themselves. So that's what I'm doing. Whether financially, business, whatever. Going to be making, creating courses and selling courses and different things like that. So yeah, there's the podcast helping women, advertise what they're doing. So this is good stuff. We got a lot of good things.
So how long has your podcast been up and running?
We just started. We're about 6 weeks into this now.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I have Drew incorporated in here. He's the techno guy. Thank God for Drew, because I don't know what I would do without him. he's teaching me all the behind the scenes this stuff.
All right, because I'll get all that information, because I can put it in the 3C, the Empowered for Women group, so that they can check it out too. And then that way we'll see if they can. And some of them probably might already be in your group already. I don't have 6,000, just so you know.
So I'm going to be sending out newsletters and collecting emails, and like I said, this podcast we'll put in a newsletter and email it out and do all that good stuff with it. So I'm excited you were here today. That's you're the first nonprofit. So my goal is to have, at least once a month, have different nonprofits on and to talk about whatever they're doing, your story. And again,
is it man? Are you basing it for women or men? Do you want women nonprofits?
Oh, any nonprofit. We'll interview anybody. So, but it's being shown in the Fight Club for Women group first, and then then we're going to be putting it out there.
Well, if you're looking for nonprofits, we can talk about that too, because I'm part of the nonprofit committee. Imagine that.
A network of nonprofits.
But I mean, that would benefit from you with women, and that you would resonate with. There's some really strong women running some smaller nonprofits right now that might be very powerful for you to hear. So no, that's what I want. I want to get out there, so if we can help get donations for you, for your nonprofit, and volunteers, and your life coaching, because I can imagine you would be an amazing life coach. Yes, I really want to, so if anybody is looking to change their world, come get me, because I can get you to feel just like this.
Yeah. So are you booked now with clients, or are you?
No, I actually have some openings right now, because I kind of slowed up because I was doing so much. Okay. So I've actually just started going back in, and I have a few clients, but I'm back to looking. So I am open for some clients right now. So we're good.
All right, ladies. Well, go see Cheryl for sure, because I can vouch for her her life. She's got quite the life, and I can imagine that you're quite the coach, because you've done so much good for people, and you've got a big heart. So I can imagine. I just know that you can help a lot of women across the board, or men. Do you life coach men too, or is it?
Yes, I do actually. I have a gentleman that I'm working with who wanted to learn how to network.
Okay.
I know. Who figured, right?
Yeah.
So I do have one.
You wear many hats, so I know you can help many people, because you've done so much. So
all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited over this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to touch base on the side, and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. No, whatever. A glass of wine or a cup of coffee.
Long Island iced teas.
Long Island iced teas. I'm down for that too. Have you come up to my river house? We can do a retreat up there if you need to get away and just sit on the river and do absolutely nothing.
Really? Do you do that? Do you do absolutely
nothing? I get inflatables, and we sit there and all day long just sit there. I could be out in that river for 8 hours doing nothing.
Oh, wow.
The best time ever. So I like to have some retreats running out of that house too, which will be fun. So
all right, great. All right, well then I guess we'll be talking soon.
Yes,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, I'm glad that you came on today, and it was great seeing you, Cheryl. So
thank you.
Yes. So love you, girl. Good luck.
All right. Love you too. All right.
Bye-bye.